even had people say that I just like to see myself in the camera. If you go back to my old videos, probably 7 years ago or so, I started filming like this because it makes a rear view mirror. Now, I can't see what's happening in the tiny window that it shows on the phone, but when I go back and review the footage, if I'm looking that way, but something happens, movement that way, behind me, and it's also a good idea when you're leaving an area to film behind you. Well, this is a great way to film both directions at once. should have a decent working knowledge of the woods. Me, I got my first squirrel when I was 7. And then my first rabbit when I was 7 or 8. I don't remember. I think I got my squirrel that fall and my first rabbit that winter. So I think the year flipped, and that's why it messes with the number, even though it wouldn't have been my birthday yet. I've been bow hunting. For 34 years. I've been hunting. Oh, geez. 43 years. I've been fishing for 43 years. I've been in the outdoors for 43 years. I'm 50, but I mean solo. And over all those years, and I'm not saying I know more than anyone else. Ah, there's my movement. There goes a doe. There goes a deer. There goes my movement. She worked her way right around, came down the hill. I just seen her white flag go up the hill. I knew I would see a movement. I'm not saying I'm just saying I have there's people in the world of Bigfoot that don't have a working knowledge of the outdoors. I do. I have an understanding. The first book I wrote was about hunting in Ohio and Ohio's conservation history. Now that deer worked around and came that way, which was funny because if that was in fact a knock, that knock came from that way. I wonder if I happened to walk into a Bigfoot deer drive. Some kind of critter right there. It's getting dark in the woods. I can't even tell what. Little critter. Probably a baby raccoon. Juvenile. They're getting adventurous this time of year. It's early June. Okay, so that's what my movement was. Most likely was that doe working her way around. And oddly, I find that comforting that it was just a doe after hearing that possible knock. I'm rather happy it was a doe. Yes, I am. That dumb mosquitoes down here. I might get ran out. I might have to go back up to the high ground. But I can't say they're going to be any better there. We've had so much rain. Everything's flooded so much. It's been a cesspool for mosquitoes. Good Lord, they're getting thick. Starting to act like the no-see-ums of Alaska. I think it's time to go get another head net. I'm going to be in this type stuff. And don't forget the bug spray next time. Good grief. After hearing that possible knock, I'm not giving up my position. What I am going to do is make a little smoke. I'm going to make it right here where I'm standing. Good night. All I want is just a little, I don't want a fire, just some leaf smolder. Just a little bit of smolder is all I want. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb. get to where I can get in a little bit of smoke. Keep the mosquitoes at bay some. What I call a twig fire. I know I said no fire tonight, but I didn't plan on mass clouds of mosquitoes. Now we're quite nice. Actually, let's watch the meadow a bit. There. Wind shifted. I am mosquito free. Yeah. That's all you ever need for mosquitoes. Well, I call it twig fire. More than enough. Let that burn down and smolder. Throw some leaves on it. And if a wildlife officer or something comes around, because open fires technically aren't allowed. Normally I have a little grill or something. But I can quickly, safely, and easily stomp that out. So, mosquitoes are coming back. I think I hear a ATV coming through. Of course, it could be over on one of the other roads, but I'll give it a minute. Let that burn down a bit. See, that fire is small enough. I can pee on it and put it out. That's the ideal fire. Some people want great big full-blown camping. You don't need that. And you can cook the same meal off of a fire like that as you can a campfire. Just takes you a little longer, but it's still just as good. Now let's add some smoke. It's probably not the best to breathe in. And it smells like hell. But it keeps the bugs off. blowing right up into the woods. That's what I didn't want. But it's a circling. It's no wind, it's thermals doing that. That's the cold air of the evening coming in, pushing the smoke down as the heat of the day is dissipating. That's a thermal, that's not the wind. That's thermal. That's the cold air coming in off of the river. Oh, I heard something. Maybe not. Did I miss it? Yeah, I've still got an hour. Grab some twigs. The good thing about a twig fire, they burn out quick. They don't put out a great amount of light. They can be comforting. The bad thing, you are always tending them. Good thing is it don't take a lot to tend them. Just some small twigs. So they have their good upside and the downside. Creeks. They always follow the creeks. Remember that line from Boggy Creek? Yeah, there's a creek right over there, the Mohican. Little fist size stalk of wood right there. There's gold. Keep everything piled up in the center for your coals. I could fry an egg on that baby. I could cook a steak on that properly. And by properly, I mean rare. Well, that was a wood knock. I'm going to say now it's probably moved on. If it wasn't a wood knock, I'd love to know what it was. I mean, it was a wood on wood sound or a wood cracking sound. But there's no beavers around here. So it wasn't a beaver. There ain't a breath of wind. And it wasn't a crashing like a limb falling. It was just a singular sound. That's the key point, a singular sound. No other sound associated with it or prolonging it. See, now that the sun has shifted, oh no, I guess that cape is still there. It must, I didn't see it at that angle. Now that I'm standing here, I do. Must be a dark bush in there. Yeah, it's a hot little bugger. It's all centered in a small, tight area. general rule for a twig fire is no twigs bigger around than your fingers. And look at that. That's a perfect little fire. Absolutely perfect. Plus side, I'm at 10,000 mosquitoes swarming around now. There's still a few, but not that many as before. Well, outside of that possible knock, something's going to happen. It's going to happen soon. If there's something in between the connecting points, that's what I'm running. What are connecting points? Okay, so it's a belief of mine that Bigfoot doesn't stay in one singular area year-round. I think they do migrate, but not a vast migration. I think the area is a lot smaller than you think. So the state of Ohio, you have Cincinnati, Columbus, Cleveland, right? The 3 C's, as we call them. So when mushroom season starts in Cincinnati area, it's 2 weeks away from central Ohio and 2 weeks away from the top of Ohio. So when mushroom season wraps up in southern Ohio, it's a full bore in the middle. It's just maybe starting to begin up north. When it peters out here, they're still finding mushrooms right now in June up north on Lake Erie. Good, not rotten, morels. Okay, so they're about to peter out up there though. But it's long done here, and it's even longer done in southern Ohio. Now, that in reverse is winter hits Lake Erie area. The hell the heck was that? It was a high-pitched something. So winter hits Lake Erie area first, hits us second, hits southern Ohio, but not as hard, because southern Ohio Valley is closer to the Tennessee Valley, and southern Ohio closer to the warm air, right? So if you're in Cincinnati, you might not have any snow on the ground. Drive up towards Columbus, maybe there's a dusting, maybe there's none at all. Go up towards Lake Erie, you might be in 2 feet of snow. You're in the snow belt. You're in that northern belt. So how does that apply to Bigfoot? Well, southern Ohio greens up first in the spring, has more vegetation, so it makes sense for everything to be in that area. And then it starts to green up here, fresh new growth, so you can follow it up. And then Lake Erie region, fresh new green growth, and so you can follow it up, and then you can come back down. You can stay up, you can go down. And then as winter hits, everything up here dies, but these two areas are good. But when Ohio dies, or Columbus area, when everything turns to crap here, you still have acorns, walnuts, wild game, but you might still have greenage down by Cincinnati area. Okay, that's just so. Got a doe right there, right out there. I wouldn't be shocked if it ain't the same one that was up here and she's now worked her way around us. Okay, so connecting areas, connections. I use water sources. Water is something that every animal has to have. And I don't mean still, stagnant, not moving. I mean clean, clear, flowing. You got the Mohican River. Over that way is the Cocosing River. Over that way is the Walhonding River. And it becomes the Tusk. But then you have feeder creeks that always flow into rivers and feed them, right? So a lot of people, so drive time, people who know the areas I'm about to talk about, it'll make perfect sense. Those of you that don't know the areas, look them up. But look up Wills Creek Dam, Wills Creek Wildlife Area. Okay, then the mecca of Bigfooting, Salt Fork State Park in Ohio, right? Now it takes 40 minutes to drive from Wills Creek to go out, go down 36, 62, well 36 to 77, 77 down to 541, or you at Shockton and Wills Creek, you can just take 541, but it's a 40-minute drive either way, 40 to 45 minutes, right? Well, as the crow flies, Wills Creek and Salt Fork is only 12 miles apart across land as the crow flies, straight line. And there's creeks that guide that. Gage Up Valley and Hawking Hills is like 7, 11 miles, something like that. Not very, 12 miles at the most, I believe. But it's like 6, 7 miles. It's a half-hour drive for us, but it's 6 miles. So Woodbury to Wills Creek at the closest point is 7 or 8 miles. Wills Creek to Salt Fork is 12 miles. I mean, in a straight line, a large animal with a 4-foot stride could cover that distance in less than a 8-hour day, taking its time. Up I talked too long. That's why you keep your fire centered. All your coals are right in the middle. It's nothing to restart a twig fire. great idea is what I call a fire straw. And usually I take an old arrow and I just take the tips out of it so it's just hollow like a straw. But you can stand back a good ways, blow through that straw, and concentrate your fire starting air and not get your face toasted off. So I use old arrows, I call them fire straws. And they're absolutely a great tip. A short metal tube that collapses like an old magnet pickup. Maybe the magnet fell out. Well, that tube's still hollow. So snip the ends, let it fold into itself, or better yet, drill a hole. And then you can, they even make them that you can buy like that if you look online. But I've always used old arrows. You can even use a plastic straw in a pinch. But I don't have any straws with me, so I had to get the face a little toasty. Okay, so anyways, so this is in between Mohican. Here's a public wildlife area. Over that way's Woodbury, Wills Creek, Salt Fork, an hour and a half drive. But as the crow flies, you're looking at like 30, 40 miles. If that, for me to drive it, is 66 miles. So a land-moving animal using waterways to navigate, and these little creeks, and there's places where you might have to get away from the creeks, but you'll bounce right over to another one. Mohican to Salt Fork is like 38 miles. It's crazy. So from Shawnee State Forest up to Cuyahoga, like 189, 198 miles, 200 at the most. Figure a Civil War troop could march 20 miles a day, and that wasn't an entire army. Imagine what a single animal with a long stride could do. It'd take them less than a week. And they could be from tip of Ohio to tip of Ohio in less than a week. And I think they moved those in the unglaciated areas of Ohio. There's been sightings all over the state, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they're not in those glaciated areas. But the sightings primarily, or have happened the most, in the unglaciated. There's hills, valleys, it's not flat, flat, flat. Maybe they use the flats to travel sometimes. It would be convenient instead of going up and down and up and down. But the up and down keeps you more concealed and not out in the wide open. Just like that meadow. Anything could walk across that meadow, but something walking across that ridge, we'd never see it. That's what I mean by connection. Wildlife areas in Ohio are used a little bit for fishing, but primarily used. I think I got a car coming. Primarily, they're used Jesus, you going fast enough, dude? I do ride a Harley on this road. And it's a gravel road. Anyways, I think wildlife areas are primarily used, particularly the woods. Fishing season, they're going to be at the water. But hunting season starts in the fall and ends in the very early spring. Not a lot of people squirrel hunt. Most people, they rabbit hunt in the grasslands. Stuff like this is pretty much deer season. There's not as many bow hunters as there are gun hunters, and gun season is only a week long and an extra weekend. So all this area like this pretty much sits dead and uninhabited by people for the majority of the year, particularly the growing season. I'm going to assume, safe to say, that guy didn't give two snots about my little fire. I'm going to build her back up. Sun's going down, mosquitoes are coming back. I'm still tasting dust from that moron. Grab some more. I was hearing something, I thought, before Speed Racer there came through. Once that burns out, it'll be dark. After dark, and I'll probably go ahead and call it a sit. But I am putting this spot back on the map because of that very early evening possible knock. No associating sounds like a limb falling. I had just walked out of there. I know no one's back here. I'm the only person here. I don't know what else could have made that sound. I'm going to try to pull it out of the video and then I'll add it to this. That's Bigfooting, people. It's not always crash, boom, bang, sighting. It's a lot of boredom. It really is. And anyone who said otherwise is full of it. You don't encounter Bigfoot every single time you step into the woods. You don't have a sighting every time you go out. People that do are full of shit. Straight up. Not going to sugarcoat that one. Is it possible to have a sighting? More so here than sitting at home on my couch. I would say so, yes. Did have possible evidence, a possible knock, and I'm leaning towards a knock. But I didn't see shit except for deer. But deer don't knock. Actually, that might burn a little faster than I thought. Twig fires. Gotta love them. Thought it would be a slower build. It just went up like a match. I might need one more round of twigs. Something moving up on that hillside. Doesn't sound overly big, but I've heard a deer sound like a chipmunk. So always pay attention to any movement sounds. Don't expect Bigfoot to sound like a Bigfoot. It might sound like a chipmunk. They can step quiet. So can people if they try hard enough. It's not impossible to move quietly through the woods. Especially if you're not wearing boots and you have thick, fat, padded foot bottoms that squish. Something to keep in mind. The sound carries. Those ATVs you're hearing, I actually know where they're at. They're over a mile away. sound just travels down this corridor. That's why I wanted to be here. I would prefer they weren't here, but they're over a mile away, and it sounds like they're right over on the hill. Moon's out. Question is, do I stay here, or do I try for the higher ground? Do I try for a road crossing? It is a gravel road, and I'm on a Harley, which doesn't really bother me, but old Speedy there got me thinking. I'd have been on he was in the middle. He wasn't on his side of the road. He was running right smack dab down the middle. I just got life insurance yesterday, but I don't plan on using it already. Good Lord. I will hang out here for a little longer. Plan on the Hells Angels of four-wheelers being out here. But it's summertime, it's to be expected. I know they're on private property, I'm on public. That don't always stop them, but friendly little bat. The guy could at least get a daggum muffler if that's a four-wheeler, which I assume it is. I mean, I guarantee my Harley's louder, but it's a Harley, it's supposed to be. Oh, that little bat. Yeah, get them skeeters. Hi, Bubba's. You're a cute little thing. Just circling right around me. Get them skeeters. Oh, there's two of you now. Hi, babies. Heck yeah, just keep circling around right here. Get them little buggers. Thank you, thank you. I got air defense. Here he comes again. See if I can catch him. And for the record, I just want to clarify, because I know someone's going to say it. Oh, it's getting dark. Mike's afraid of the woods. He's getting chased out. No. It's 9:30 at night. Mike has to get up at 6 a.m. to go to work. And I haven't had dinner yet. So that's why I'm headed home. Have a good night.